Hello and welcome to this channel. If you are new, then you are very much welcome. And let me give a little bit introduction about this initiative. I started this since 1 month, I guess. It is about uh, targeting our prelims 2024. In it, I had decided to take up the current affairs of our important subjects since last 1 year. So if you had visited my channel before or you had not, then I must tell you that I had completed the current affairs section for polity and governance, and from uh, last night I had started to bring international affairs, current affairs related to international relations. So, without wasting our time, let's jump towards our discussion. It is the second part of our initiative related to international relations. So our first news which we have to discuss is about the relationship between India and Bhutan. As you are very much aware about, as I assume that Bhutan is a landlocked country and it is very much strategically important for us as it shares its border with our arch enemy, which we can say China, and it has borders with our country. So it is very important to secure Bhutan for us. And the relationship we have developed with them is very unique. And we can say that is the perfect definition of a relation which we should have with our neighbors. And the relationship with Bhutan is that relationship which we can call under the perfection. So let us see why it was in news. And let me tell you one thing, that there are many topics which we would discuss again in other videos. So please don't worry if you had recently heard some news and you are not able to connect with this video. Please don't worry, that news will come up in our next videos also. So my point of the point of saying this is this PPT which I had made. It was made then when these newses were in news, when these issues were in news, and I think it is at least 12 months old news here we are discussing. So let's start. It is about the Bhutan's king who recently visited India for strengthening the bilateral relationship between the two countries. It was the visit of Bhutan's king to India. Let us see what were the important developments which were taken in consideration during his visit, and let us discuss about brief relationship, what the relationship we share with Bhutan. Let's move to our next slide. So, what were the outcomes of his visit? So mainly the purpose of the visit of Bhutan's king was to support. It was basically we are supporting the Bhutan everywhere. If you had seen the interim budget which was released a month ago, you would have seen in that we had special uh, mentions for different countries whom we offer financial help, and the Bhutan is the highest recipient of that. So let's discuss about that further. First, it is his visit was to support Bhutan and additional standby credit facility for a period of 5 years. If you know that since our independence, we had established a great relationship with Bhutan until 2007. We were framing their foreign policy, and it was we till 2007 we had developed a friendship relationship with them, which we will discuss in further slides. and we were framing their foreign policy till 2007, and in 2007 that was revised, and then Bhutan started developing it independently. So we had always been helping them, whether it would be improving their infrastructure, whether it would be their security, whatever the issues they were having, we had always supported them and helped them financially. So similarly here, additional standby credit facility for a period of 5 years. They had also taken the 5-year plan uh, since as we know, it was a monarchy for a long time. It is still a monarchy. The head of the Bhutan is the king, but it has shifted towards the bi-party system, and we can say it has shifted towards the democracy, but still, like in US, UK, we have the king as the monarch. Similarly, in Bhutan, the head of the country is the king. So, what are these standby facilities? They provide financial assistance to low-income countries with short-term balance of payment. So we provide these financial assistance to many low-income countries. We provide it to we provided it to Afghanistan, but since the Taliban took over, we had withheld that, and we provide it to Malaysia, we provide it to Maldives, we provide it to Nepal, many other countries. We provide these additional standby credit facilities. So we provide it also to Bhutan, and also we assist in digital infrastructure, in developing their digital infrastructure, such as establishment of third international internet gateway for Bhutan. Now let us see what this international internet gateway is. International gateway is any facility that provides an interface to send and receive electronic communications, which include voice, data, or multimedia images, traffic between one country's domestic network facility and those in the other. So the domestic network facilities which are used in one country, they are shared by, if we have the international gateway facility, they are shared. So is the case with the Bhutan. We give them assistance in digital infrastructure in a way as establishment of third international internet gateway for Bhutan. And like also in India, there are multiple international internet gateway, like in Mumbai, Chennai, Agartala, etc. And also integration of Bhutan's drug research and education network, that is DRUNKRIN, with India's national knowledge network, key cooperation in the domain of e-learning. So the integration of Bhutan's drug research and education network, that is written as DRUNKRIN in short form, and India's national knowledge network. So there is a key integration for the cooperation in the domain of e-learning. So if we would summarize this slide, why the reason for the Bhutan's kings to visit India was to ask for the support for Bhutan, in help, to ask for India's help in additional standby credit facility for a period of 5 years, and also we learned about assistance in digital infrastructure, such as establishment of third international internet gateway for Bhutan, and many other things which we learned in this slide. Let's move ahead and see how our relationship with Bhutan has improved since years. Or first, we will discuss more about his visit, the reason for his visit. It was about one point in it was hydropower, and as we know that Bhutan's major resource is it is hydropower, it is hydroelectricity. India has helped them in developing that, and if we know the BBI organization Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, and Nepal. And what India does, they helped Bhutan in developing their hydropower, and Bhutan became surplus of their hydroelectricity, and India started buying it from Bhutan, and then it distributed its hydropower to BBIN countries, to Bangladesh and Nepal. So in this way, India had developed their hydropower. So here his one of the concern for his visit was further discussion on hydroelectric power plants in Bhutan, like the Mengdechu, Chuka, Bosuchu, Puna, Tasangchu 1 and Sunkosh projects, etc. So we should try to remember these words. Usually, UPSC, what they do, they ask such questions: in which country this power project is located, and we should know that. We should try to remember their nomenclature. It is very hard to remember everything, but we should know their nomenclature. For example, when we will see the word chu at the ending, we should guess it is from the Bhutan. Mangdi chu, Chukha, and Basa chu. Similarly, other two, Sunkosh project, etc. Then the security first established integrated checkpost at Jaigaon, West Bengal, India, and Punto Sholing. So integrated checkpost was for the establishment of integrated checkpost at Jaigaon and Punt Sholing in Bhutan. Then connectivity expected Kokrajhar, Assam, Gelafu, which is their Gelafu city. That is their futuristic city. They are planning, and we can say the happy city they have. If we know about the Bhutan's economic system, they don't follow the GDP. They have a gross happiness system they are following, which includes the environment, which includes protecting environment and gross happiness of the people. So in that way, they are planning this Gilafu city. That is recently it was in news, and what is expected that Kokrajhar from Assam to Gilafu rail link and supported Gilafu airport construction for investment attraction. So India is very keen in investing in Gilafu because it will help them in developing their northeast, in developing our northeast. So this connection, this might come in the exam, and it is very hot topic during the present days, during these days. So I would make a separate video about this Gilafu rail link project, and we will discuss more about it at the end of this session. So let's by the end of the session, I mean at the end, we will complete all the 12 months course, and then I will add these videos. So let's move to our slide. So this slide brings us to the brief, it gives us brief knowledge about the India-Bhutan relationships. As I already, if you can see here in the map, that Bhutan is a kind of sandwich between China and India, as China is very aggressive and it is very much strategically important for India. So let's see what these points give us. It is as we know, Bhutan is a landlocked country. It lies between India and China, and in the eastern Himalayas. And we should know that these questions do come often in exam, that what are the states that share border with Bhutan. We should know that if such question comes, we should be able to write them correctly. The states which share border with Bhutan are Sikkim, West Bengal, Assam, and Arunachal Pradesh. And also it shares a border of 699 kilometers with these 4 states which I had already mentioned. And we should know that as it was a hereditary monarchy, Bhutan became a two-party parliamentary democracy in March 2008. Now let's see few points why Bhutan is important for us. First, we know geostrategic importance. Bhutan's strategic location between India and China makes it crucial for India's national security, and we cannot let China control these areas as it is very close to, very important for us for our national security. And also economic significance. Bhutan's abundant hydropower resources, which we already discussed, offer significant potential for India to meet its energy demands. And also environmental cooperation. Given the shared Himalayan ecosystem, India and Bhutan collaborate on environmental conservation, climate change adaptation, and disaster management initiatives, as both share Himalayan ecosystem. And also regional integration. Strengthening the India-Bhutan relationship can pave the way for a greater regional cooperation within the SAARC and BIMSTEC. So let us see a little bit about the history of Bhutan-India relationship. In 1949, the Treaty of Friendship was signed. Since then to 2007, India, while framing their foreign policy, we had direct influence in their foreign policy, in their economy. We were helping them in since after 2007 also we are helping them. They when even after 27 when they frame their foreign policy, they keep the views of India in mind and they frame it accordingly. Then 1968 diplomatic relationships established between the two countries. In 1972 first trade and transit agreement was signed, and 2007 we revised Treaty of Friendship, and in 2018 50 years of formal diplomatic ties were celebrated. So this was nutshell about India-Bhutan relationship. It is historical background a little bit. It is how we developed this relations last 50 to 60 years and how it is important for us, and we learned about what are the states it share border with. I would repeat it once again. It is Sikkim, West Bengal, Assam, and Arunachal Pradesh. So such questions do often come in exam. Who are the bordering states of any country they mention? So we should know that, as Bhutan was in news, and our northeast is always in news, so we should know these things. So what are the areas of cooperation? If we should know that the main area of cooperation in our for our economy and development is hydropower. And, and they are rich in hydroelectricity. The rivers, and that is their natural strength. So we can mutually benefit from the hydropower corporation with Bhutan. From the core of bilateral corporations, we can get economical benefits from that, as we had already invested and we are getting the benefit from that. We are now they are selling their surplus to India, which we distribute where we lack our electricity. Similarly, and we distribute that to Nepal and Bangladesh also. About trade, India is Bhutan's largest trading partner. We should know that, and it is around 1,422 million for 2020 and 21. As we know that Bhutan is not that big country, so their population is very low, and 1,422 million is very big trade. If we take it in the consideration the size of the Bhutan, and we would take the consideration of the population, it is very huge amount of trade we are doing with them. What are the major exports from India to Bhutan? We should know that it is mineral products, machinery, mechanical appliances, electric equipments, base metals, vehicles, vegetable products, and etc. And what are the imports we are getting from Bhutan? Electricity, which we know, ferrosilicons, Portland cement, dolomite, carbides of calcium, carbides of silicon, cement, clinkers, wood products, cadmium, fruit products, and etc. So we share cultural relation with them also, as both countries are connected with the concept of Buddhism, the religion of Buddhism, as a majority of the religion followed in Bhutan is Buddhism, and we know that Buddhism originated from India. So this Buddhist connection is very huge. Also, the India Bhutan Foundation, which was established in 2003, aims to enhance people-to-people exchange in the cultural fields. In security, the Indian military training team is permanently based in Western Bhutan and assists and trains the Royal Bhutan Army. So we are training and assisting their Royal Bhutan Army, the Indian military training team, which is permanently based in Western Bhutan. And also the Eastern Air Command of Indian Air Force provides Bhutan with air security, as the country does not have an air force. Since Bhutan does not have the air force of its own, so our Eastern Air Command of India Air Force provides that air security to Bhutan. Also, India's broader road organization has built the majority of India's border road organization has built the majority of roads in Bhutan under Project Dantak. This Project Dantak, we should know about it too. So let's see what are the challenges. As we know, every relationship has some challenges. Similarly, our challenge, the relationship between the relationship we are having with Bhutan, there are some challenges to it. The main, as I often say, that if you don't know much about any topic and you have to write challenges to them relate to international affairs, you should add China part into it. It would fit everywhere. So Chinese influence. China disputes the following territories with Bhutan. In, for example, in north, Pasamlong and Jakarlong valleys, both of which are culturally vital for Thimphu, and in the west, Doklam, Dramana, Shakhatu, Yakchu, Charitangchu, and Langmarpo valleys. And also, India backs Bhutan's claim over Doklam, as it is strategically important for India's security. And dominance of the region by China could threaten the Siliguri corridor, a narrow stretch that connects the Indian mainland with its northeast states. And also, in issues in hydropower trade, India's past changes in power purchasing policy, refusal to admit Bhutan into the national power grid, etc., has created a rift in the relationship. So mainly the Chinese part, it is the biggest challenge in it, and some of the policies which we changed related to power purchasing policy has created a rift to the relationship. We should know these, these valleys which are disputed between China and Bhutan. For example, Pasamlung, Jakarlung valleys in the north, and in the west, Doklam, Dramana, Shakhato, Yakchu, Charithangchu, Sinchulungpa, and Langmarpo valleys. These are very difficult to pronounce it, so please go through them and try to understand, at least try to understand the nomenclature of these valleys. They are very important, they may come in the exam. And also hideout for militants, for example, United Liberation Front of Assam, these militant organization, they used to hide out in Bhutan when when so they used to hide out in Bhutan during their confrontation with Indian forces. So this is one of the challenge to our relationship with them. And Operation since in 2003 and 4, Operation All Clear was the first action against these militants by Bhutan. So till 2003 and 4, Bhutan was not that much interfering in this, but in 2003 and 4, Operation All Clear, they launched this initiative to curb these militant organizations there. And also BBIN initiative, the Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Nepal Motor Vehicle Agreement, which was proposed by India to improve connectivity in the region. It is on the hold by Bhutan due to environmental concerns. As I had already told you that Bhutan is very much concerned regarding environment health, and because of environment concerns they had put it on the hold. So it is one of the challenge to our relationship. And also access to trade. Bhutan is diversifying its market by reaching out to Bangladesh, with the two countries having signed a preferential trade agreement in 2021. So there is a fear that Bhutan is diversifying its relationship unilaterally, and it may, for a longer run, it may create a problem to Indian policies. So these are some other challenges. So let me repeat it. They provided hideout for militants. For example, militant outfits like United Liberation Front of Assam, ULFA, National Democratic Front of Bodos, NDFB, ETSA use the dense forests of southern Bhutan as their hideouts and operate against India. And we discussed about Operation All Clear, and we discussed about the motor vehicle agreement, which is on the hold because of the environment concerns felt by the Bhutan, and also how Bhutan is diversifying its trade unilaterally. For example, they had signed an agreement with Bangladesh. So these were few concerns related to our relationship with Bhutan. So what is the way forward? The writer here says that we should initiate a trilogue between China, Bhutan, and India, and that should be done. We should diversify economic engagements. We should strengthen collaboration in fields such as fintech, space tech, biotech. Between that, our the reason for this is that our trade should not be limited to only to hydropower. We should diversify our relationship to the current trends of the economy. For example, AI, fintech, space tech, biotech between the two countries can lead to stronger partnership. We should improve people-to-people ties. As we know, soft power diplomacy can be introduced through Buddhism, and by encouraging more tourist exchange between the two countries. Security measures should be checked, establishment of contact points between countries and mechanisms for real-time sharing of information in criminal matters, and capacity building and skill development of law enforcement personnel managing border check posts. So these are few way forwards which we should keep in the consideration while discussing or while writing the question related to India-Bhutan relationship, and the few points which were important in this relationship, we should remember that. Let's move or another topic. It is about India and Latin America. As you know, we should know that Latin America, Africa, India, we have very much in common. We had South-South collaboration going on, as we are not all these countries in the usually in the southern hemisphere, are not that much developed. So our relationship with Latin America is very kind is that kind of relationship which we can understand how we can understand each other's problems, and we can collectively respond to them. So let us discuss about India, Latin America. India, we should know that it was in news because Indian External Affairs Minister he paid visit to 4 of the Latin American countries. Those countries are Panama, Guyana, Colombia, and Dominican Republic. And he is the first Indian foreign minister to have made a bilateral visit to these countries. He also attended the India Central America Integration System foreign ministerial meet, and he also co-chaired the fourth India CARICOM Caribbean Community and Common Market Ministerial meeting. So these are few points in this slide which we should know. He is the first Indian foreign minister to have made a bilateral visit to these countries. He attended the India Central American Integration System (SICA) foreign ministerial meet, and he co-chaired the fourth India CARICOM Caribbean, which is Caribbean Community and Common Market Ministerial meeting. Let's see what was the significance of this meet. As we know, Guyana is home to one of the world's largest oil reserves, which is important for India to diversify its oil sources. You know, Guyana, we have to discuss much about this separately after the end of this session. You know, a separate video about Guyana will come, where we would discuss about the conflict between Venezuela and Guyana or the land area in Guyana. So we have to discuss about that also. First, here we have to discuss how they are important for us, and we should know that Guyana commissioned an India-made ferry MV Amelisha to improve connectivity and mobility with Guyana. And for Panama, Panama is India's largest Central American trade partner with reportedly 610 million in annual trade in 2022. Has significant we have significant diaspora Indian people living, presence of Indian people there, and also it is positioned to serve as India's gateway to Latin American region, offering unique logistical capabilities as a maritime hub. And also about Colombia, we signed the cultural exchange program for 2023 to 26. They supply crude oil coal to India. And about Dominican Republic, we inaugurate the embassy of India in the Dominican Republic. Money into India's automobile dealers like Bajaj, Hero, Royal Enfield have established local dealership in the Dominican Republic. So this was the significance of the meet with these Latin American countries. So let's move to the broader discussion of this topic. It is about how Latin America is important for India. What is the significance of India-Latin America relationship? First, we should know that every relationship starts with the trade, and let's see about the trade relations. The trade between India and Latin America was at an all-time high, which is 50 billion in 2022, 50 billion US dollars. Overall, if Latin America were a country, it would be India's fifth largest trade partner in 2022 and 23. If whole Latin America was one single country, it would have been India's fifth largest trade partner. And also after the Ukraine war, as we know, since Ukraine is indulged in war with Russia, and we also know that Ukraine was the largest supplier of sunflower oil to India. Because of this war, these supplies hindered. So India's imports of edible oil from Latin America because of this war has increased. So let's forward. We have investment opportunity for Indian business. For Indian businesses, Latin America lies in the so-called Goldie Zone, which is a sweet spot between the highly regulated competitive markets of the US and Europe and the less competitive markets of Africa that have lower purchasing power. So Latin America, it is a Goldilocks zone for India, where it is not as high as its markets are not as competitive markets as are not as high as US and Europe, and not as low as Africa. And also we should know that Indian IT companies, they employ more than 40,000 people in the region, nearly all of whom are locals. So there is huge respect if you employ any country's people, and they start respecting that country who employs them. So our IT companies employ more than 40,000 people in the region, and India's total investment in the region are valued at 16 billion US dollars. And also food and energy security. India sources 15% of its crude oil from Latin American countries, and in order to sustain its growing energy needs, its demand will increase in the future also. So right now, our 15% of India's crude oil do come from Latin American countries, majorly from Guyana. The region can also contribute towards food security, as Latin American region is 5 times that of India and only has half as much population. So this is very important point. The size of Latin America, if we would see, it is 5 times that of India, and the population they share is half of the India. So it can contribute towards food security. India can import pulses and oilseeds from these countries. It is strategic. We have strategical significance. Latin America accounts for 40% of global production of copper, supplies 30% of the world's lithium. And also India is already working on acquiring mines of strategic minerals such as lithium and cobalt in countries like Argentina, which is lithium triangle, also called as Bolivia and Chile. What are further significances of this relationship with the Latin America? Developmental Corporation Latin American region was one of the main recipient of the India UN Development Partnership Fund in 2021, which is 20 million. 26 projects were there, Indian projects. India can also learn from Latin America's experience with conditional cash transfer. This is because the region is pioneer in conditional cash transfers globally and has more than 3 decades of experience implementing such programs. So India can learn from in conditional cash transfer. India can learn from it. Also, South-South cooperation, which I discussed in the beginning of this topic. India held the first Voice of Global Summits South Summit, which had 29 Latin America and Caribbean countries. And also few of the Latin American countries, or we can say South American countries, India is already cooperating with Brazil at platforms like BRICS, IBSA, which has provided an alternative platform for developing countries. And also people to people relations. Indian philosophy, yoga, teachings of Gandhi have had an uh, incredible imprint in the minds of many Latinos in the region. And also many Latin Americans are also well versed with Rabindranath Tagore, who spent 2 months in Argentina in 1924. So that question may also come in exam: which country Rabindranath Tagore spent any in your PSC exams? UPSC won't go that down. So let's see what are the challenges to this relationship. Lack of mechanism to engage region as whole. India has yet to formulate a mechanism to deal with the Latin American region as a whole. We had a clustered relationship with the clustered countries as a whole. We had not developed that relationship with whole Latin America. So that is one of the challenge. For example, we had a good relation with countries like Brazil, Mexico, Chile, but other countries lag behind. And also the physical distance is very far. Distance between India and Latin America is perhaps most acutely felt in the social interactions between both sides, which have been few and far between. And perception in the foreign policy, Latin America was always relegated to the far end of the three centric circles the, uh, that drive India's foreign policy. About three centric circles: first, we contribute our neighbors, then in the what we can say neighbors that comes the Asia and full Asian area, and our strategic partners like US and Russia, and then third and final circle includes the rest of the world, including Latin America. So perception in foreign policy is one of the challenge. For instance, still recently, the Latin American region has been managed by India's ministers of states for external affairs. And also only recently that the bilateral relationship with three Latin American countries, namely Argentina, Brazil, and Mexico, are managed directly by Indian foreign ministers. And lack of financial trade, free trade agreements, current preferential trade agreements that India has with the Mercosur, that is a trading bloc in South American region. We should know about Mercosur, comprising of Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay, and Uruguay, and Chile remain limited in scope. Our FTA's current preferential trade agreement that India has with Mercosur. We should know that what Mercosur is. It is a trading bloc in South American region, comprises of Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay, and Uruguay. So we should know the countries which are the part of the Mercosur. They are Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay, and Uruguay. And also we have limited engagement as compared to China, since China is everywhere. India's annual trade of 30 billion to 50 billion with Latin America is a mere shadow of China's 400 billion. So China's trade with Latin America is 400 billion, and India's trade is 50, we can say 30 to 60 billion. It is way much less than that of China's. And also there is over 3 million Chinese diaspora in Latin American region, while India has only 30,000 people living. Only 30,000 people are living in this region. So what is the way forward? We should frame a Latin American policy for comprehensive engagement across sectors. We should upgrade the current PTAs with the Chile and Mercosur to FTAs, and also sign new comprehensive trade agreements with other countries in the region. We should enhance cultural linkages through academic institutions, media, tourism, etc. We should leverage civilizational strengths, democratic governance, which Latin America identifies more closely with India than with China. So these are a few way forwards in this relation. Now let's discuss about India, Iran, and Armenia trilogue, or we can say let us discuss about India, Iran, and Armenian relationship. India, Iran, and Armenia held a round of political consultations in Yerevan, which is the capital city of Armenia, and agreed to hold future meetings in a trilateral format. And this is the first such meet which has happened regarding these countries, and three sides were discussed, which include economic issues, regional communication channels, and the prospects of deepening cultural and people to people contact. So let's discuss more about relationship. What is the significance of the trilateral? uh, it is revitalize the INSTC, which is following the Ukrainian conflict, the changing geopolitical uh, landscape presented an opportunity to revitalize the INSTC, International North-South Transport Corridor. Also, India intends to extend INSTC through Armenia to connect the Chabhar port in Iran and the Indian Ocean to Eurasia and Finland. If we would see this, the route of International North-South Transport Corridor, which is proposed, it goes through Chabhar port, then there with Zehedan, and from there it enters to Tehran, and it here it can go through Armenia, or it can then join with Moscow, or it can have its route through Baku, which is the capital city of Azerbaijan, and join to Moscow. So this is the proposed route for the international north-south transport corridor. Uh, it is this trilateral which was held between India, Iran, and India, Iran, and Armenia. It is seen as a counter to the Pakistan, Azerbaijan, Turkey trilateral in 2021 Baku Declaration, where Pakistan, Azerbaijan, and Turkey they agreed to support each other's territorial integrity while underlining their respective priorities. The declaration is seen as an expression of our support for Azerbaijan's campaign in Karabakh. As we should know that they have Azerbaijan and Armenia they have a conflict in Karabakh, and Turkey and Pakistan are siding their way with Azerbaijan, and India and Iran they are siding with Armenia. Pakistan's claims in Jammu and Kashmir and Turkey's standpoint, the Cyprus, Aegean and East Mediterranean disputes, they add to it. In September, these three also held in September 2021, Pakistan, Azerbaijan, and Turkey. They held the Three Brothers Joint Military Exercise. This question may be this may be asked, and it is very important for your means to write these points in that. Now, Nagorno-Karabakh, this dispute territory between Armenia and Azerbaijan, is also a key factor in these two different trilaterals. The trilateral between Pakistan, Turkey, and Azerbaijan, and the trilateral between India, Iran, and Armenia. This Nagorno-Karabakh dispute is the main difference. And the stand these countries have, for example, India and Iran, they are standing with Armenia, and Pakistan and Turkey, they are standing with Azerbaijan. Nagorno-Karabakh is internationally recognized. It is internationally recognized as a part of Azerbaijan, but most of the region is controlled by Armenian separatists. And separate Armenians, they have declared it as Nagorno-Karabakh Autonomous Oblast. Recently, they had a war over this region between Azerbaijan and Armenia. Recently, 2 years ago. However, some efforts to produce a permanent solution to the conflict, primarily led by Minsk group of the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, have failed. The Minsk group was created in 1994 to address the dispute and is co-chaired by United States, France, and Russia. So they tried to resolve the dispute, but they failed. And as I already told you, that Turkey and Pakistan have traditionally supported Azerbaijan in the conflict, and Iran and India have supported Armenia. This is the Nagorno-Karabakh region, which is the disputed region. We should know where it is located. We should know who are the neighboring countries for Azerbaijan and who are the neighboring countries for Armenia. Let's discuss about the points of convergence these countries have. First, we will discuss about India and Armenia. We celebrated 30 years of bilateral diplomatic relation in 2022, and also enjoy active political ties and effective cooperation with international bodies. And also, under a newly inked export agreement, India would send military weapons such as missiles, rockets, and ammunition to Armenia. India would help them there. India's external affairs minister visited Armenia in 2021. It was the first visit by an Indian foreign minister since establishment of the diplomatic relations in 1992. So from this we should know that our relationship was not that much discussed, but recently we had started to include them also in it. And also, free trade agreement between India and Eurasian Economic Union is currently being negotiated, as Armenia is an European Economic Union member. The conclusion of this FTA would contribute to boost bilateral trade also between India and Armenia. Now, about the relationship between India and Iran, our relationship is from the history, from millennia, with both countries having historic ties and sharing economic cultural heritage. The Chabhar port in Iran has been key to connectivity between the two nations, and both are signatories to INSTC agreement. About Iran and Armenia, they share a border with and enjoy robust ties. Two countries have been focusing on deepening their trade and economic cooperation. Armenia serves as a transit route for Iran to access the Eurasian Economic Union. So we can, from this slide, we can conclude that all the three countries, they have good relationship with each other bilaterally. So there are no setbacks, not major setbacks to our relationship to this trilateral. So what are a few challenges which we should, which everything we discuss, they have some challenges. Similarly, this trilateral has few challenges. Let us see what are that. For India to balance Israel is one of the biggest challenge, because the closeness with India and Israel, it may hurt or hamper the relationship with Iran. And also the volatile Armenian Azerbaijan border, there is no permanent solution yet. Then we have linking INSTC to European markets via Russia may be difficult due to Ukrainian conflict, and also continuing sanctions on Iran may limit its ability to contribute to supply chain along INSTC. So these are few challenges with regard to this trilateral between India, Iran, and Armenia. Now, let's move to our last topic for today's discussion. It is about comprehensive and progressive agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, which is CPTPP. So, what does it stand for? Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership. When was its origin? It was signed in March 2018 and came into force in December 2018. It succeeded the Trans-Pacific Partnership after the United States withdrew from the TPP in 2017. So about it, it is a free trade agreement between 11 nations and also member countries. Member countries are Australia, Brunei, Canada, Chile, Japan, Malaysia, Singapore, Vietnam, Peru, Mexico, and New Zealand, as here we can see on the map. They are mostly it is signed and ratified. They are mostly the American, whether North American or South American states and countries, and New Zealand. India is not part of this comprehensive and progressive agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership. India is not a member. Move towards why it was in news. Recently, the United Kingdom, UK agreed to join this CPTPP, comprehensive and progressive agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership. It will become the first new member and the first country in Europe to join this partnership, which is comprehensive and progressive agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership. It was in the news because United Kingdom agreed to join it. So what is the significance of comprehensive and progressive agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership? Trade in goods, elimination of tariffs, and reduction in non-tariff barriers in CPTPP export markets. As in last class we already discussed about what are the tariff barriers and non-tariff barriers. In tariff barriers we include taxes and all that stuff, while in non-tariff barriers we include non-tax particles, non-tax things, which include barriers like logistics, infrastructure, environmental concerns, and etc. Then we have equal treatment in government procurement. Foreign companies will receive the same treatment as domestic suppliers when binding on government procurement opportunity. So those who sign this agreement, they will receive the same in if they are investing or doing their business in one country, they will receive the same treatment as the domestic country is receiving. These foreign investors, or we can say foreign suppliers, they would be treated same as the domestic suppliers would be treated. Then also predictability and transparency. Common and transparent trade and investment rules between 11 Asia Pacific countries, assisting in the reduction of administrative costs, labor and the environmental. This comprehensive and progressive agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership (CPTPP) includes clear commitments to uphold CPTPP members' respective standards on labor and environment, and also addressing governance and emerging issues. It includes rules against corruption, reducing unfair competition by state-owned enterprises, and ensuring a liberalized environment for electronic commerce. Now let's discuss India and CPTPP, how why India did not join it, and what India is missing, why without as they did not join it. Let us see why India did not join this comprehensive and progressive agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership. First, stringent standards on intellectual property rights. This CPTP it gives stringent standards on intellectual property rights. It can extend pharmaceutical company monopolies and drastically affect India's pharmacy ecosystem. And also CPTPP investor state dispute settlements mechanism. It hinders regulation of the investment ecosystem and bypasses economic sovereignty of India. And this investor state dispute settlement ISDC is a mechanism in an FTA or investment treaty that provides foreign investors with the right to access an international tribunal to resolve investment disputes. So this in a way threatens the economic sovereignty of the country. That's why India did not sign it, and it required economic concessions. India has reorganized that the sweeping economic concessions required to join CPTPP are too drastic to take from an Indian perspective. And possibility of deindustrialization, as this comprehensive and progressive agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership (CPTPP) templates of rules on market access to goods could pose severe challenge to India's manufacturing sectors. This may harm the industrial sector in the long term. So India here tried to preserve, or we can say preserve its domestic supply, domestic market, and they don't want to be that much interfered in their economy. So because of the fear of these things, they did not join it, this comprehensive partnership. Why? Now see what are the things which India is missing. Here we have competitiveness. Reduced tariffs would have made Indian exports less expensive in partner countries, and also access to new clients, new professional, access to key markets in Indo-Pacific regions including Japan, Malaysia, and Chile, market transparency and stability. Uh, it would have offered Indian service suppliers improved protection, predictability, and transparency for conducting business in partner markets, and also exclusion from the global value chain. The rules of origin under the CPTPP coupled with the tariff reduction will encourage creation of new global value chains. Not joining this comprehensive partnership decreases this opportunity for India. So these are some issues which we are missing while not joining this comprehensive progressive partnership progress agreement for Trans-Pacific partnership, and these are the reasons. These reasons on the left are why we did not join it, because of the fear of getting interfered in our economic sovereignty and the laws, the intellectual property rights they have. They did not adjust well with India. And what we are missing the competitiveness, we are missing the access to new clients, we are missing market transparency and stability, we are missing the exclusion from the global value chain. So this was about today's discussion. In here we discussed mainly four topics, which included India Bhutan relationship, which would come up in other videos also. We have to discuss very much in that. We discussed about India Latin America relationship. We discussed about the trilateral between India, Iran, and Armenia, and we discussed about comprehensive and progressive agreement for Trans-Pacific partnership. In it, we discussed who are the countries who had signed this, and we discussed why India did not sign it and what India is missing. So this was little conclusion of today's discussion. At the end, I want to tell you one thing. You know, if you are watching my videos till now, you would have noticed one thing, that I am taking only few topics in my videos. But the point is that every topic which I discuss here, I would try to respect every point which is necessary for our exams. So I try to bring every point. I want to मेरा एम है कि हमें हर एक चीज़ पता होना. If we are discussing any topic, we should know everything about that. So that is my basic aim. That's why I try to include every information which is available, which is necessary for our exams. So this was our second class. We still have 10 to 12 discussions left regarding our international affairs, and I would try my best to complete everything which was important since last 1 year. And thank you very much for having me here, for listening me, and please do subscribe to this channel. This would encourage me to make more videos and work more harder on these topics, and I would help you in a way that is necessary. Thank you very much for having me.